Hi everyone and welcome back to National League Lowdown with me, Dan. As you can see, I'm joined by Craig and Louis tonight. Craig, how are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you, mate. Was on commentary for Braintree Boston yesterday. Probably one of the most exciting 0-0s you can ever see, but the finishing was wayward to say the least. But I'm sure we'll come on to that later as well.
Yeah, I mean, I watched that game as well. I've got a few views on that myself as well. Louis, how are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, all good, thanks, Dan. Not so much National League action, only the 4 games, but still a lot to talk about, a lot of news and a lot of stories, I think. So yeah, looking forward to this.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a lot to cover tonight, and obviously, as you can see, Mark's not here. He's in Ibiza with Rob Smethurst. He's not really; he's at work, but we'll let him have his moment. Great result for Macclesfield. We're going to cover the FA Cup non-league games in a little while, but yeah, Mark's enjoying himself, and rightfully so. Well-deserved victory
If you
for
did
him.
want to hear Mark's views on it as well, guys, he was on TalkSport this morning. Sorry, so just jump onto their YouTube and see that as well. But he'll be covering it more in detail with us on Wednesday, I'm sure. And we'll have to bring him down a little bit, hopefully after a defeat to Woking, maybe.
He maybe needs a little bit of a humbling on from Woking, considering he's been calling them dry toast most of the season. Would be interesting, but yeah, enjoy the moment, Mark. Enjoy the moment, Macclesfield fans. Massively well deserved. But yeah, so we'll get straight into the National League action. Like Louis said, there wasn't many games this weekend, but we're going to cover them all as best we can. We're going to start with Sutton 1, York 2. Louis, I'll come to you first, mate. I know you were at this game. What did you make of it?
Yeah, the win puts York top of the division. Played a game more than Carlisle or game less than Carlisle, so the games aren't managed out at the moment. But yeah, interesting game it was. Going into it, slightly underwhelming. I think I was expecting York to win, but we did have a few injuries back as well. So I think the Scunthorpe postponement for us helped us in that sense. We took the lead early from the 7th minute from Will Tizard. Came from a set piece, a second transition on a set piece. York didn't defend it well, and it was a lovely finish from Tizard. A striker's finish again from a centre back. He did it at Solihull Moors a couple of weeks ago as well. So he seems to have got a good finish on him, Tizard. Hopefully it'll continue. Almost identical goal for York after about 25 minutes as well. Here in Boateng. Again, second phase of a set piece. We didn't deal with it, didn't head it out enough, and he stroked it home. And I think it was a pretty even first half, really. Both sides had chances. Bonner had a shot when it was 1-1 that was sort of headed away from the line by a York player. Josh Stones had a free header that he probably should have done better with just before half time. But I think we were happy at half time. I thought we played quite well. And then York came out and they had a better start to the second half. They had a good 10-minute spell. Perfect start it was. I think it was only a couple of minutes afterwards that Pearce got his opener. I think it's poor defending from us. Bonner switched off from a throw-in, didn't chase his man. I think Sims can potentially do better. He might be able to get something on it, and then Tizard gets caught flat-footed at the back post, and Pearce taps it in. And then they didn't take their chances. York, they hit the post from, I think it was an Alex Hunt free kick, and I think Alex Newby had a shot as well that was easily saved by Sims. But then we got back into it. Harrison Mayer with an outstanding double save. I know you've seen it, Dan, because you shared it on your socials. But that we sort of gave a bit of momentum. But I think York managed to kill off the game in the end. I think a draw. I don't think you could argue if it was a draw. York potentially probably did deserve to win, but if it was a draw, I don't think they'd have walked away thinking, "Oh, it was daylight robbery." Aggie's post match was quite interesting. I don't know whether either of you have seen it. He said it was small margins in the game, but from our point of view, I personally thought it was quite a good performance. But he said too many players were carried. He said that we didn't win enough duels. We were too weak in the duels, and he said some players, needed to track back. He mentioned that a lot of the midfielders weren't chasing men or chasing York back. So high standards are expected from him. Obviously, we've known that as Sutton fans when he's come in. But I think it was quite an interesting post-match from him to hear it from him. And he said the substitutes changed the game. He took Charlie Bell off. I thought Charlie Bell was outstanding. He said that was a mistake that he took him off. So yeah, really interesting post-match from Aggie. But I'm quite positive going forward. I think we played well and gave York a good game, and we had a good account of ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you say about Aggie there. Obviously, very open and honest, and I always admire that from managers because a lot of them are very robotic in what they say and just cover the same stuff. So it's refreshing to hear that. I'm not sure maybe how the players might have took that though, given that you pushed, top of the league pretty much all the way. Credit to York though. I think getting over the line there in a tricky game by the sounds of it. And like I put on my socials earlier, a few York fans have reposted it and things now. But I was saying about Harrison Mayer in goal. We talk all the time about the attacking threat of York, but that double save wins them the game as much as the Ollie Pearce goal did as well. I think credit where it's due. The defence, the goalkeeper don't get spoken about enough by us. I think we're always talking Stones, Pearce. I remember when Hunt was having his goal of the month competition on his own, we were talking about him as well. They've got so much attacking talent with Ollie Banks and that as well. So credit to Harrison Mail for keeping them in front in that game. Craig, what did you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, just a word of warning for Aggie and the Sutton fans there on the last real honest manager that told his players exactly what he think. Well, he left his job today. So he's always got to tread a little bit carefully on that one as well, and don't want to be seen as throwing players under the bus, which it can sometimes be seen as. But we like the honesty, and sometimes it's a test the character of the players. And he seems to have the backing of the board to get new players in. So if they're not, which might have been Graham Coughlin's problem, he called a few of them out and then couldn't move them on or get new players in. Hopefully that won't be a problem for Aggie. Yeah, fairly even game. I think York probably did edge it. That big double save was massive, but probably the talking point I don't believe we've mentioned yet was the Ollie Pearce dive, which by the way was never a dive. And if that becomes 2-2, that becomes an even bigger talking point, because Sims has taken him. Has Pearce maybe made the contact happen as much as Sims? Yes, but it's definitely a foul for me. And we've seen he can be quite prolific from the spot. 3-1 that game's over effectively. And they don't have the nervous times. But we've talked about York finding goals easy and scoring 3s, 4s, sometimes even 5s. This performance may actually please some of them a lot more than some of them, because they had to dig in, they had to show a bit of resilience, and they've come out on top still. And these are the games that you're going to look back on in May if you've won the league and go, yeah, that was a big 3 points. Not when you've blown a team away 5-0. They're not the ones that are going to be the ones that get you the title. It's the 2-1 away from home victories, especially on the day when no one else really up there was playing as well.
Yeah, definitely, and it's a worrying sign for everybody else in the title race that York are top. They've got, like you said, game in hand on Carlisle. I know there's games in hand everywhere else as well, but there could be really good front runners and could potentially run away with it if people don't keep picking up results around them. York come up to Carlisle, I think not this weekend, midweek, the week after. It's Carlisle's next home game. If York come here and win comfortably like they beat us comfortably when we went there, that's a real statement as well. So credit to York, deservedly top of the league at the moment. Next up, we've got
in terms of the games in hand. Sorry, Dan, I want them to all get sorted as quickly as possible. Like
yes.
Game week 40, game week 42. I don't want it going into the final couple of games with teams having games in hand. We're going to have a hell of a title race potentially. I want game week 43, 44, 45, and especially 46 to all be played pretty much simultaneously. We're seeing the to and fro in of who's up there in the league. I don't want teams playing the Tuesday before the final game. No, get them all done as early as possible. Hopefully for Rochdale, all their pitch restorations seem to be going pretty well, that they can then get through their games. And then we're back on an even keel by game week 42, that we can then really look at the league and say, right, they're top, they're second, they're third. This is what this team's got to do. It's not, this team's got 3 games, this game's got 5 games. This just get it all level as early as possible. That might mean teams are playing obviously Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. But that's better than someone trying to play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday towards the end of the season.
Yeah, really well said, mate. No, really well said. Good point. Like you say, you don't want to be going into the final couple of games of the season and saying, oh, well, actually, Carlisle's got 2 games left, Borehamwood's got 3, Rochdale's got 4, and things like that. And it ruins what could be potentially an absolute all-timer of a title race. So we'll wait and see what happens, but hopefully they'll get that sorted, like Craig said.
It's the same at the bottom of the league as well. We've got 2 games in hand, I think, on Braintree as well. Obviously, Morecambe will have games in hand as well because they've missed the FA Trophy weekend this weekend. So yeah, both top and bottom, as you say. Hopefully they get it sorted, and we've got a relegation and a title race on the last day of the season that we can all look forward to.
Yeah, we'll be clear about 10 points by then, mate. So I'm not worried.
And I wouldn't use the term looking forward to. It depends where you are.
Yeah.
Nervous wreck maybe, but we'll see. But yeah, no, get it sorted as quick as possible. So really good point there, Craig. Next up, we've got Aldershot 1, Solihull Moors 5. Solihull Moors, honestly, just blowing teams away. They're just obviously, I know they lost at Boreham Wood, but it was a tough game. They won 7-1 against Tamworth, now 5-1 at Aldershot. They're scoring for fun. Carlisle go there next. Should be fun. But yeah, massive credit to Solihull, just blowing teams away. Joe Sbarra again. I won't give anything away nomination wise, but he was nominated for, obviously, for our Player of the Month, and he's looking like a great bit of business. Craig, what did you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, if I was a Solihull Moors fan now, I'd be fully reflecting back to the summer and why didn't they go with the decisions they made just a couple of months earlier? Because I look at the top six and Southend in 7 and probably think maybe they're a bridge too far for everybody else. That 7's almost locked in by that final place with Southend. But since the change of the manager, getting Millington in, his recruitment's been spot on. That they've got everything right. But a couple of months too late, they've blown teams away. They were outstanding again in this game. Some of the movement for the goals. Don't get me wrong, Aldershot shot himself in the foot several times as well. But Solihull Moors was so confident. They were expansive in their football. I think it was the fourth or fifth goal, which was Sanupe scored. He scored the easiest goal, but it was all about everything beforehand, all the pass and move and the sharpness of the moves. And yeah, they're flying at the moment. Just my only worry for them that they've maybe should have made their decisions in the summer, because we all spoke about Matt Taylor and how we were just waiting for it to fail. Everyone from the outside could see it was going to fail, and they couldn't from the inside. And maybe that's held them back, because Millington's been fantastic since he's been in there. The signings have been fantastic. Sbarra especially. What a revelation he's been since he's come back again. I think he scored 6 in 3 games or something along them lines. It's been a little bit of a joke. It's unsustainable. There's no doubt about that. But maybe their form isn't unsustainable and they're flying. Aldershot, what a great December they had. This was, for them, they need this to be a blip. If this is any more than a blip, then they're going to be struggling, because teams are picking up points around them. We made a joke earlier that Sutton managed to lose 2-1 yesterday and move up a position and out the relegation zone. Now, could you imagine if that was the final day of the season that happened? Because the swing of the goal difference yesterday took a massive hit for Aldershot. And with it being so tight, you can't be losing 4s, 5-1s too often. You'd expect every team down there to have 1 or 2 of them. It naturally happens. We got tonked by Carlisle. We got tonked by Halifax. You've just got to be so careful that these only turn into minor blips. If they turn major, then Mark could be right and they could be going down.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I worry for them just because you want to see how they react. They've got 2 away games next. I've just been looking there. They've got Eastleigh away and Yeovil away, and then they've got Carlisle at home. So that could be 3 really tricky games there. On the back of a 5 or 2. Given yeah, we won't talk about them for a while. But yeah, or 2 tricky games and then Carlisle at home. But yeah. 5-1 could be a bit of a morale killer. We'll wait and see. Obviously, time will only tell. But Solihull Moors, if anyone's going to break that playoff, I think I said it on when we were reviewing our pre-season predictions. This plonker had them 19th in his predictions because of the Matt Taylor effect. It didn't enter my head at any point that they would just sack him and appoint someone better. Didn't enter my head at all. So I think if anyone's going to break into them playoff places, it might be them. But I do think, like Craig, it might be a bridge too far and they've left themselves too much to do. But all they can do is just keep blowing teams away and see what happens. Louis, how did you see this one, mate?
Yeah, going into it, I was slightly concerned for Solly, because obviously they've lost a few players from their loan deals. So Sinclair's obviously gone back to York. Is it Nurse that went back to Shrewsbury, was it, and went to Cheltenham, I think? So there's a couple of players that sort of moved on, and you sort of think going to a resurgent Aldershot, like how will they react? But they were absolutely outstanding, as you said. Like they could have easily scored more goals than the 5. I won't say what numbers because Craig will do his thing. But yeah, they were absolutely outstanding. I think, obviously, given Aggie's comment saying that we were too weak in the tackle and not nice in the duel, if you'd have watched Aldershot, I mean, they're just defensively, which is shocking for those 4 or 5 goals. Absolutely disgraceful. I mean, they just don't get close to their men. They're ball watching. It's really basic stuff, and I would not have liked to have been in the changing room at half time with John Coleman at the other end of the table screaming at you, probably. Is it back to square one for them? Like, you look at their wins. They had a win against Altrincham, which was 2 late goals, and they've beaten Boston and Wealdstone. Boston are on absolutely horrific form. Wealdstone are on pretty horrific form. It's so, as you said, it's so tight down the bottom. We had it in November. We went on a brilliant run, and now we're back into it. Are they just going to sink back down to where they were because they lose 2 or 3 on the trot or pick up 1 point? Who knows? But yeah, for Solihull Moors, as you said, 4 points from the playoffs. The only issue I have with them is when you look at their 5 defeats from their last 17 games. It's such, it's a fantastic run of form, but those 5 defeats are against Boreham Wood, Halifax, Hartlepool, Woking, and Rochdale. Albeit Rochdale and Boreham Wood maybe not, but Halifax, Hartlepool, and Woking are the sides you'd want to get results off if you're going to break into those playoff places. So they really need to pick up points against those sides around them. And their fixture list isn't the easiest as well. They've got Carlisle, Rochdale, York at home in the next 4, and Morecambe away sandwiched in between that. So some tough fixtures to come. But if they come out of those 4 fixtures with a good points total, they're going to be right in that title race, playoff race.
I was going to say, getting ahead of yourself there a little bit. Don't get too excited, Solihull fans. But yeah,
Solihull Moors for the title.
Heard it here first. We're recording this on the 11th of January, so just if it does happen, Louis called it on the 11th of Jan. But yeah, like I say, we'll see what happens. Next up, we've got Woking 4, Hartlepool 0. 2 teams that you mentioned there with Solihull, they're all kind of in that pack, and they're just outside the playoffs. This was a massive result for Woking. I know Hartlepool were down to 10 men at one point, but they were already 2-0 down. Woking comfortable, dominant. I made notes, but it was just one word, like dominance. Hartlepool didn't get anywhere near them, and I think for me, with Woking, they've been on poor form. Lost a couple of. They won at Carlisle, shock. They won at Carlisle, and then they lost a couple of games, but they've got back to winning ways there. And like I said, they're all in that little chasing pack. If anyone's going to potentially break into the playoffs, if Southend do drop points, they're going to be there or thereabouts as well, I think. Louis, how did you see this one, mate?
Yeah, I've got written in block capitals next to my note statement win. And I think that's what this is really. They were absolutely outstanding working from the highlights and from the read-ups afterwards. Their goals were they're so good, some of the attacking play that they had. It was a great header from Sanderson to start with, just the pace and the direction that he puts on his header. It's a lovely, well-worked goal for their second one from Chinakoli. It's a good finish from him. I don't know why he's up there as a centre-back in the 6-yard box, but fair play to him. He's put it in the back of the net, so that's the end of the day. Cameron John's red card is shocking. Basude had him on toast all first half, and all he could do was hack him down. I don't care what people say, he absolutely deserves that. There's no attempt to play the ball. He's just been outclassed by his opponent all half, and the frustration has obviously got to him. And from there, it's just a complete, Hartlepool just can't get back into that game with 10 men, and the performance they had. Typical Harry Buteman goal for their third one. Having watched him for years at Sutton, I know what he's like. It's exactly the kind of goal that he scores. And his poor defender from Hartlepool for the fourth. They got 3 men watching the ball, and Botswine is completely free, just taps it in. Watching Nicky Featherstone's post-match was quite painful. And he's embarrassed. He said it shocked him massively. They were second in every department. And he said the players find it easy to get up for the quote-unquote bigger games like the Rochdale one that they obviously won over the Christmas period. So really strong words from Featherstone. He's got a big job on his hands, I think. It's such a big job. It's a club with big expectations. Obviously, new owners coming in as well. So yeah, good luck to him. But I do worry for Hartlepool because that circle of life just keeps on going.
Yeah, I was just about to say that if you hadn't mentioned it, Louis called it as soon as he got appointed till the end of the season, wasn't it? It's the circle of life, the Hartlepool circle of life. Looks like it's striking again. Craig, what did you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, so I watched the first half of this before going off to the Braintree Boston game. And I'm glad Louis mentioned him, because if you just look at the stats for this one, Josh Asude probably doesn't get a mention, but he was pivotal to everything that Woking done that was good in that first half. Like Louis said, poor Cameron John's going to be having Asude nightmares over the next week or so. He beat him all ends up, and it actually the red card was in his own corner, defending in his own corner. He's nicked the ball, flicked it round him, and he's just kicked through him. And Louis said there's no complaints about it, and you can't argue with that, because if you watch it back, you watch the Hartlepool striker, and he's put his hands on his head, and he's basically going, "Oh my God, what on earth were you thinking there?" So when your own teammates knowing that you should be sent off, that shows it. They were talking on the commentary and said it's an orange card, and I'm thinking, no, that's a definite red. He's just kicked for him. He's absolutely lost his head. His head was on Mars at that situation, and yeah, for Woking, their home form has been absolutely abysmal. They've been so much better away from home. So even we went and won there, to be fair. So for them to go and win 4-0 at home, probably in the second half, not even get out of second gear, it will do them so much confidence at home, because it is their home form that's been holding them back. And we spoke about it with Solihull. It's a step too far probably to finish 7th, but if someone does fail and have a spiral, I don't see it, but if someone does, like you said, Solihull and Woking are probably the two teams in waiting, you'd say.
Definitely, mate, definitely. But yeah, I like the term. His head was on Mars. I like that. Yeah, he'd had enough. He was like, "Nah, I'm not coming out for the second half, lads. I've had enough. I've had enough of this." And then next up, which is our last game, which Craig was on commentary for. I don't think he's mentioned it in the lead up. Braintree 0, Boston 0. Craig, I'll come to you first, mate. What did you make of this one?
Yeah, so as I said in the intro, it was actually a good 0-0. I would also like to apologise to any people that do watch Braintree quite frequently, because the minute they hear my voice, they must know it's going to be a 0-0, because that's the 5th 0-0 I've commentated on this season. But it's probably the best one out of the 5, to be fair. Lewis Walker hit the inside of the post after about 30 seconds, and he didn't really do too much wrong. He got played through by Harrison Duziak and fired it across the goal, and it hit the inside of the post and come back out probably an inch the other side. It's off the inside of the post and in, and Braintree off to a flyer. It only took 3 or 4 minutes, and then Boston hit the bar as well from a header. Ken Abbo floated a corner, a cross out to the back stick, and it was met well by Lancashire, I think it was, and he pounded it against the bar. And then there was chances just going back and forth. It was almost a bit of a basketball game, just without anyone who could shoot. There was shots going over the clubhouse. There was such shots being saved. There was blocks. Walker had one in the second half that was blocked by his own teammate that was going in. There was bad misses. There was balls across the box that missed the striker's foot by inches. I said to Louis earlier, he's obviously the stat man. I don't think the stats were out earlier, but for the XG on this game, I'd have been surprised if both teams didn't hit at least 2. I don't know if Louis managed to get them stats together by now. But yeah, it'd be interesting if people want to have a look at that one as well to see what the XG stats were, because
We'll have a look now, see if I can find it.
It was. I'll keep talking for a couple of minutes then. It was a really good game, and ultimately, obviously, both teams left feeling pretty disappointed. Whoever won would have gone as high as 16th. Now, for some teams, 16th doesn't sound massive, but that's quite a few teams sandwiched between you and the drop. Granted, it wouldn't have been many points, but there's more teams that can slip up to keep you in a safe position there. And ultimately, they both kind of failed on the day, and it was mainly the strikers. Braintree's 10th clean sheet this season, which for a team sitting 18th, 19th, I think we are now, that's a very, very good stat. But then when you put it on the flip side, and it was, I believe, the 14th time we haven't scored this season, you can see exactly why we're down there.
Yeah, I'm struggling to find it at the moment, mate. But I will have my say on this game. So obviously, I don't support either team. I was screaming at my screen, like just bury it. Like there was the Lewis Walker one where his own player blocked it. It looked like he'd hit it against himself, and he'd kind of messed it up. Because I think I'd messaged you, Craig, saying I think he hit it against himself. And obviously on the zone,
I don't get the replay, so I think I messaged you guys and went, what happened there, kind of thing.
Yeah, and to be fair, even with the replay, it was hard to tell because obviously you only get one angle. So I think I said to you, I think it was, but yeah, it was. There was a lot of schoolboy misses, the ones that you shouldn't be missing. Then there was a couple of final balls, like Craig mentioned as well, that would maybe just 1 inch another side and it goes in, or gets on the end of somebody. But for me, both sides showing why they are struggling. The goals were just not coming, and like I say, it was an entertaining game. It was very basketball like Craig said, where end to end entertainment. But if you're a Braintree supporter or a Boston supporter, either one, if say you go down at the end of the season and you go down by 2 points, that is one game you will look at and go, we really blew that, because both teams could have won it. I would say probably Braintree had the better chances, as in my opinion, like that they should have scored. Some of the ones that Boston, like say, hit it was a chance, but it wasn't like an absolute sitter. Whereas I think Braintree missed at least, I would class 2 sitters.
Yeah, I think we had the better, but they had the more.
Yeah, they had more. They had more chances. They created more, but in terms of clear cut like sitters, where I was screaming at my screen, the two that I was screaming at the screen for was Braintree. Like I say, Boston did. Because they were away from home, they'll probably take it more than Braintree would have wanted the 3 points, but I don't think a draw really solves anything for either side, if I'm honest. And I can't find the XG anywhere, by the way.
No, I can't either.
No, but I'm sure we'll find it at some point over the next few days, and we'll maybe talk about it on Wednesday. But Louis, how did you see this one, mate?
Yeah, if you'd have said to me before the game it was finishing 0-0, I'd have probably gone, yeah, that's fair enough. But like when you watch the game, it's just, yeah, how on earth it ended 0-0, I don't know. But yeah, 24th versus 19th for goals scored per game this season. So it kind of sums it up, really. It's funny that Boston's last away win was against Morecambe and Braintree's last home win was against Morecambe. So they probably want to play them every week at this rate. No offense, Morecambe fans, you've not played this week, but you're still getting digged out on the podcast. I'll go a bit further on Craig's point about Braintree not scoring, keeping clean sheets. So 52% of games that Braintree haven't scored this season. When you compare that to the sides around them in the relegation battle, Gateshead have had 44% of games where they haven't scored, Truro 52%, Morecambe 36%, Aldershot 19%, Sutton 28%, Brackley 56%. So they are the worst out of the relegation lot. Boston 33% and Altrincham 20%. So that is Braintree's issue at the end of the day. If you manage to balance out your goal scoring ability across different games, you kept clean sheets in 37% of your games. Like, you're going to pick up 1-0 wins as you have done most of the time at home. But that's the key thing. It's finding the back of the net. Defenders win you championships, but I think at the bottom of the league, it's the goals that will keep you up. Regardless if you if you can score goals, you'll win games. So I think that's the biggest issue.
I think if we had a 15 to 20 goal striker, which every club would want, so I get that I'm saying that, and people go, oh, it's not that easy. It's not. But if we had one of them, I genuinely think we'd be about 14th, 15th, and pretty comfortable. We don't concede many. It's just the scoring the goals. We've tried so many different people up there now. Sahid Kamara, Terra Works, John Akinde, J. Emmanuel Thomas, Lewis Walker, Tom Blackwell, who's unfortunately torn his ACL, so he's out for the rest of the season. We've tried so many different people up there, and it hasn't worked. I think the most we've scored in the game is 3, and Blackwell and Works scored those against Eastleigh. I think that's the only time we have scored 3 was away at Eastleigh. And it gets to the stage where the defenders, it might be why we sometimes concede in quite big clusters, because they think, well, we've conceded 1, we're probably not going to win this game now anyway, kind of thing. But that's not their mindset as such, but they have to go and push themselves forward a little bit more, and that's where we get caught, because, we don't score many at all. I think only Brackley have scored less than us, but as Louis said, in goals per games now, we've played quite a few more games than them without scoring. Bournemouth Wood at home next week, so that'd be a fun one for us.
Are you on commentary?
Not next week at the moment, no. There's 4 of us. I'll just be there spectating, which I think's worse because I pull my hair out even more when I'm just spectating.
Come join the club. But yeah, so it's probably going to be 4-3 now. Now Craig's not on commentary. It's probably going to be an absolute worldie of a game. But just on what you said there about the 3 goals, didn't you score 3 on the opening day as well against Halifax?
We did. That's correct. We did.
I remember because you were talking about being top of the league, weren't you? I remember. So yeah, I do listen to what the lads say sometimes. But yeah, goals are a real issue for both sides. And obviously we talked about Boston. They parted ways with Graham Coughlin, like Craig mentioned earlier. Graham's been on the podcast. We love chatting with him about standards and what he expects from his team. And some of his press conferences, he hasn't seemed overly, enthralled with the way things have been going there. So it wasn't really a surprise. I think Boston are banging trouble. I know we've done our mid-season predictions. I think me and Louis had them going down, and I stand by that. I think Graham leaving, I don't really think it matters who comes in. The problems are there for clear for everyone to see. So, but if Graham wants to come back on the podcast and you listen to this, mate, feel free and have your say. We look forward to having you back anytime. But we wish him all the best for the future. And I'm sure he'll have another job lined up pretty soon because he's a very good manager. Next up, we've got FA Cup roundup. So we're going to just, obviously there was a lot of games, so we're just doing the ones that had the non-league sides in them, because otherwise we'll be here till Christmas by the time I finish rabbiting. So first up, we'll start with the poorest result, I think, which was Boreham Wood 0, Burton Albion 5. I don't know anyone who's seen that coming. Obviously, we had I was going to say Boreham Wood supporter on with us, me and Craig, the other night, Tom, and he was obviously talking about their chances, and we would say I expect them to win. The home form's been great. The flying in the league, but Burton went there and done a real number on them. And Kane and Adom, who we've mentioned from Gateshead, moved to Burton. I think it went down as an own goal now, but I think he had a part to play in the goal and got an assist as well. Played a vital part on his debut for them, so well done to Kane for that. Incredible, massive result for Burton, who've struggled in their league. But it does show that there is that bit of class difference. I think Boreham Wood going out's a bit of a worrying sign for us in and around them in the league now, because there's no more distractions. Because I did say the other night that we were talking about, if they have a good cup run, it might distract them from a title race. They've got nothing to distract them from that title race now, so it could be full steam ahead for Luke Garrard and his team now. But they've done well to get that far. They really have. They beat Crawley 3. We talked about it the other night. Beat Crawley 3-0. Beat Newport 3-0. And just they've come unstuck against a League One side. There's nothing to be ashamed of there. Next up, Grimsby 3, Weston-super-Mare 2. This was a really good game, actually. I watched this. I was messaging one of our League 2 hosts, Jordan, who's Grimsby fan, and we were just chatting and stuff, and he was saying like they were made to work for that Grimsby. Grimsby took the lead. Weston-super-Mare came back with I don't know if you've seen the goals, but the free kick where it was going for one corner and it's deflected off someone's head and it's just looped in over the goalkeeper in the opposite. You know, and you think maybe it's going to be their day when they're going in for you. You're thinking,
I'd love to see one of them goals for Braintree, mate.
Yeah, that's what I mean. When it's going well, I think for me that you think I did think, oh, it's their day. When they're going in, it was just pure fluke, but they deserved it. And then Grimsby went up the other end, took the lead again, and again you're thinking, right, have they got it in them? And they actually played really well. Weston-super-Mare, they were getting forward. It was a well worked free kick that was chipped in, nodded down, prodded home. You know, and for me, I was thinking this could be their day. And then when Grimsby retook the lead again, you're thinking, I think there was maybe like 10 minutes to go or something, and you think, have they got it in them to do it again a third time? They did push, they really did. Grimsby with some last-ditch blocks. Keeper was come for a couple of crosses, but he didn't have many saves to make. But, you know, Weston-super-Mare done themselves proud. They really did. And done the National League South proud. Just come unstuck against a better side on the day, but they gave everything. And then the result of the day, of the round, of probably FA Cup history, I would say, definitely in recent years. Macclesfield 2, Crystal Palace 1. Like I say, Mark's in Ibiza celebrating with Rob Smethurst at the moment because of this. But again, I was messaging our chat and I was like, I didn't want to jinx it too much, but I thought Macclesfield were comfortable for about 80 minutes. They were really comfortable. They were in transition on the break. Palace were trying to pass the ball and it just wasn't quite working for them. I thought Dawson in midfield done an absolute number on Adam Wharton, which is something I never ever thought I would say out loud. Adam Wharton's been tipped to go to Real Madrid and Manchester City and things like that. And is it Paul Dawson? I think he's called Paul Dawson. Absolutely ran the game. Proper throwback with the bandage around the head and everything as well. You don't see that these days. Like people get took off for knocks and things these days, where there was nothing stopping him and there was nothing stopping him heading in the opener either. Great ball in, great header, and you think, right, can they just see this out and keep the ball, keep Palace at arm's length? And they did. I thought Palace really didn't come into the game until, like I say, 80th minute-ish. They kind of made some subs, went for it, like I say, but obviously Buckley Ricketts got the second, which was a bit of a comedic goal. It was just kind of floating around. He just kind of got a poke on it, and I think the keeper slipped. I had someone on TikTok say to me that it was the pitch's fault. The goalkeeper slipped. I was like, yeah, that's why you went out, mate. That's why you went out. It wasn't because you weren't at it from minute one or anything. It was because the goalkeeper slipped. But yeah, and then like I say, Macclesfield then sat back, and to be fair, sometimes I'll say they shouldn't do, but they couldn't keep that tempo up. They couldn't keep that high press up for 90 minutes. They had to sit back and just let Palace come onto them and try and hit them on the break if they had a chance. But they were playing balls into the channel. Buckley Ricketts was making runs just to stretch the defence, get the defence out and stuff as well, and get them a bit of time up the other end of the pitch. And then, like I say, a bit of moment of brilliance. The free kick got Palace a goal back, and it was a bit squeaky bum time at the end. But Macclesfield deservedly win for me. I thought, like I say, comfortable for the most part, but they gave everything. And what a moment! The best part for me was you could hear on the tannoy them saying, "Please don't come on the pitch. Please don't come on the pitch." And then the TNT camera switches to Rob Smithhurst, and he's already there, ready to jump over the board. And I'm like, "Yeah, that's not going to happen, lads. You can say it all you want, but for a moment like that, and for a team like Macclesfield that have been through the mill." Mark, our friend Mark, but everybody involved with Macclesfield have been through the mill, started from scratch again. They deserve every moment, every bit of that. So massive credit to them. And let's hope they get a massive tie in the next round as well, and see if they can take another big scalp. But we'll wait and see on that. And then next up, we've got FA Trophy Roundup, which is you, Louis.
Yeah, so 8 games went ahead this weekend, 8 games postponed, some of them at late stages of the game as well. Eastleigh are the ones I think that don't benefit from that, cancelling at a late stage, with Southport having the long journey down there. But we'll start alphabetically. We'll start with Dan's worst nightmare. Chatham 1, Carlisle United 0. Matthew MacArthur with the goal. Pretty poor performance from Carlisle. I think Dan said that it's not about the fact that they lost, it's the manner of which the defeat happened. According to the paper, it's 0 shots on target for Carlisle, so really, really poor performance from them. You can focus on the league all you want, but if you perform like that, it won't be in a title race for much longer, I don't think. Ebbsfleet 0, Forest Green Rovers 2, Isaac Moore and Abraham Carney with the goals. Are Forest Green the favourites? They probably are in this rate with the squad depth that they've got and the quality they've got and the mentality that they have in terms of wanting to win games constantly. Fairly comfortable afternoon, I think, for them down in Kent. Hereford 2, AFC Fylde 2. Hereford were 2-0 down, to be fair to them, came back and got it to 2-2, only to lose on penalties 4-3. So Fylde absolutely flying at the top of the National League North. Not a side that I'd want to draw if my team was still in the FA Trophy. Obviously, they're not. We'll come to the team that beat us later on. Leatherhead 2, Horsham 3. Leatherhead with 2-0 up at half time. 2 steps below Horsham, but only 22 miles between these two sides, so a bit of a local derby. But Horsham came back. I think they've got one of the best away records in the National League South. Rhys Murphy, ex-Yeovil, ex-Dorking, got a brace to take Horsham into the third round. Like the third round. I don't know what number round it is now. I forget with them. Marine 1, Gloucester 5. Marine 1, Gloucester 1. Marine won at 4-3 on penalties, knocking out lower ranked opposition. Gloucester gave them a good game, but did go down to 10 men with about 10 to 15 minutes left and managed to take it to penalties, but Marine making it through on that one. Then we come to Walton Hersham versus Brackley. Walton Hersham winning 1-0. Mason Abong with the goal 10 minutes from time. They are absolutely flying. And you talk about a team that you would not want to draw in the next round. This team is that. They are unbeaten in 23 games now, Walton Hersham. They've won 20 of them, drawn 3. And I think there's something like 14 points clear at the top of their division with about 2 or 3 games in hand. So they are absolutely flying. So good luck to anyone that pulls them in the next round, because I know what it's like going there and getting thumped. I can tell you that from personal experience. Wealdstone 1, Dagenham Redbridge 0. Mikhail Averio with the goal 10 minutes from time. Much needed win for Wealdstone. It's their first win in 5 games. Maybe a bit of a dark horse for the competition. If they get a good run of form, if the draw goes in their favour, they might be able to sneak it through to the last stages and get through. And then the last in our roundup was Yeovil 0, Aldershot 0. Brett McGowan got sent off for the home side on the 24th minute. Aldershot had a number of chances from what the report said, but they just couldn't have that bit of quality in the final third. It went to penalties, and Yeovil won it 3-1. So a bit of a lucky sense for Yeovil in getting through to the next round. Jed Ward making 3 penalty saves in the penalty shootout. A lot of Yeovil fans say he's the best keeper in the league, and he proved it in the last round, I think, against Maidstone. He proved it again in this round. So full credit to them. 8 games on Tuesday night with the rearranged games. A very open competition, I think, now with some of the big hitters potentially out of it. Very interesting cup tie, I think, coming up.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And like you say, there's some teams in there that maybe are lower ranked down, but you don't want to be drawing them. Like you say, Walton Hersham's one, Chatham as well. Massive credit to them. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Carlisle can focus on the league type thing. I'm not going to say that like some of the fan bases did maybe in the last round. There's ways to lose games, and Carlisle were not good enough, and Chatham well deserved it. So good luck to them for the rest of the competition. Next up, we've got our monthly award winners, which is you, Craig. We've got our manager of the month, player of the month, goal of the month, and team of the month results.
Yeah, perfect. So the manager of the month and the player of the month, we put 4 nominees out there, and then you guys get voting for them. And we got really good up. We had 2,100 responses on manager and player. I think you had to do both at the same time. Up for the manager's vote was Luke Garrett, John Coleman, Andy Butler, and Adam Lakeland. Andy Butler is the winner with that one, with 865 votes, which was 41.2% of the vote. Lakeland was third, Garrett was fourth, and Coleman was Garrett was third, and Coleman was fourth. So pretty tight between them all, really. But Butler ended up winning with 41% of the vote, with 865 votes. The player of the month, you've been noticing a theme here: Ollie Pearce, Joe Sbarra, Callum Roberts, and Josh Hamani. It was won by Cal Roberts from Scunthorpe with 812 votes, which was 38.7% of the votes. Josh Hamani was second, Ollie Pearce third, and Joe Sbarra fourth. One note on that: I'm not saying they're not deserved winners. That's not what I'm saying. But note to future nominees: get your teams to vote, retweet, because Scunthorpe retweeted and liked the posts, and their players won it. So you can make your own conclusions on that one. But both Scunthorpe and Callum Roberts had very, very good months. Moving on to the team, we pick the team. We look at team of the weeks throughout the month, and if there's anyone that's mentioned more than once, then there's a good chance of them being in there. There's also, if they've been nominated for player of the month, obviously they're going to be in team of the month as well. We've got a few. I think we've ended up with 4 Boreham Wood players in there, to be fair. We've got Ted Curd in goal. I say 4, 3.5, because the next one's Jeff King. Obviously, his spell was at Boreham Wood. He's now a York player. The next 2 defenders are Will Nightingale of Aldershot and Brandon Horton of Scunthorpe. In midfield, Josh Hamani, Regan Booty, Joe Sbarra, and Callum Roberts. So a mix of 4 different teams in there. Up front, or in the forward positions, we've got Abdul Malik, Ollie Pearce, and Josh Barrett of Boreham Wood, York City, and Aldershot, respectively. And goal of the month does go to an Aldershot player as well. I'm sure we'll get this retweeted out there so you can have a watch of it again. And that's gone to Tyler Frost against Altrincham, which I believe was, there was 5 of us voting. It was 4 out of 5. I went slightly different on that one, but it was 4 out of 5, so I was unanimously beaten on that one. So I held my hands up and back down, which doesn't happen all the time, to be fair, but I did on that one.
Yeah, so massive well done to our award winners. Like I say, some of them players and teams had a great December, so massively well deserved. But yeah, that's it from us. Obviously covered FA Cup, FA Trophy, National League games. Hopefully the weather's going to fix itself, so we've got more games to talk about next time we're back on. And yeah, hope Mark's enjoying his celebrations for Macclesfield. Again, massive well done to Macclesfield, doing the non-league proud and the last non-league team standing in the FA Cup. Thanks to Craig and Louis for joining us, and don't forget to like and subscribe as well for more of this exciting content that we deliver. Take care, everyone. See you soon.
Modest.